People talk about attachment styles like they are fixed personality traits. What I want to talk about in this video is that attachment styles are simply this state that your body and nervous system slips into when you are in a state of stress. Decades of research now supports the idea that it's just a state. It is not your personality. And states can change. In fact, there's a whole body of research around earned secure attachment, which talks about how you can begin moving from more anxiously or preoccupied or avoidantly/dismissively attached into something that feels more secure. So if this sounds exciting to you, stay tuned, because in this video, I'm going to talk about some ways that you can begin to move yourself towards more earned secure attachment. If you're new here, my name is Wes. I'm a couples therapist, and this channel is devoted to helping you heal your relationship. Let's dive right in. Now, the exciting thing about building earned secure attachment is that as an adult, you can actually retrain the patterns that you developed as a child. Now, I would break this process down into 3 sections. 1 is insight and regulation. 2 is healing of your core wounds associated with these attachment patterns. And 3 is relational healing, because something that developed in a relationship cannot be wholly healed on an individual basis. You need to be working and interacting in relationships in order to heal these patterns that develop in relationship in the first place. First, let's zoom out for just a second and do a very brief overview on attachment theory, okay? Your attachment patterns developed in infancy, in childhood, and they don't form just because of one event. They form because of repetition and the emotional climate that you grew up in. So if a caregiver was responsive and attuned to your needs, then you probably learned, I can trust connection, I matter, I feel safe. If a caregiver was inconsistent, they were warm one moment, withdrawn the next, then your nervous system learned that I have to work hard for connection because I'm never really sure that it's going to be there when I need it. And so because of that, you learn to stay alert, because if you aren't, then you might lose that sense of connection with another person. This is anxious attachment. If a caregiver was unavailable or overwhelmed or emotionally dismissive, then your nervous system probably learned that depending on people is not going to get me what I need. In fact, depending on people often gets me hurt. And so because of that, I cannot afford to need anyone. I need to pretend to be okay. I need to be fiercely independent in order to keep myself safe. That is avoidant attachment. The thing about attachment patterning is it gets wired into your implicit memory. This is a part of the brain that operates off of felt experience, not a story that you create. Basically, where your attention goes as a child, neural pathways are created and grow around those places, creating an implicit memory. And you can only change it through a corrective emotional experience. The first step on this journey of earning secure attachment is insight and regulation. This is where most people start their journey, but they often stop a little bit too early. So this is where you are reading the books, you are understanding what attachment is, you get what it's like when you respond from a place of anxious attachment or avoidant attachment. Over time, what you want to be able to do is notice your own triggers in this state. This means noticing both the behavioral cues, so things that your partner does that activate this attachment response in you. And it also means noticing the feelings in your body that are associated with that response. So the tightening chest, quickening heartbeat, the urge to pull away in that moment. The more you can begin to gain an understanding of what those triggers are and pay attention to them, then the better you are able to regulate in the moment when they come up. This is where so much behavior change happens. And it is really the foundational building block for getting better at changing your behaviors or the way that you react, both in a relationship and as an individual. So the way that you do this is first you notice when the trigger comes up, okay? Your partner doesn't text you back after a little while. And so you start to spiral. You start to worry that, oh my God, they don't care about me anymore. They're out having an affair, et cetera, right? You have all of these worries come up. Next, you take a second to regulate. What that means is you are calming your body down in a physiological way. What I often recommend to people is if they are triggered in a social situation, to leave and go try to be by themselves for a second. Okay, go on a walk around the house outside, go to the bathroom for a second, lock yourself in there, do some deep breathing exercises. You want to focus on feeling your feet on the floor, doing long out breaths, which activate your parasympathetic nervous system and bring your nervous system down. And you want to do what you can to bring your heart rate down in that moment. Dr. John Gottman's research shows us that when your body is in a heightened physiological state, the cognitive processing part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, actually goes offline and you are not as able to think clearly and act from a place of intention. So the goal here is to gain insight around what your triggers are, what happens for you, what are the things that really bother you, what does that feel like in your body when it happens, and then work on regulating yourself in the moment, counting to 10, breathing, bringing your body down into a more grounded place, because that's where you can then begin to do the real work of changing your response over time. The next step in your healing journey is to understand and work on healing your core wounds. Okay. All attachment styles are fueled by core wounds that happened in childhood. If you are anxious, then your core wound might sound something like, I'm going to be left, I'm going to be abandoned, or I'm too much, or I have to earn love because love felt conditional. If you lean avoidant, then your core wound might be something like, if I depend on another person, then I'll get hurt, or my needs are a burden and can't be shared with other people, or it's safer to stay self-contained and not share myself with the rest of the world because that felt uncomfortable when I was younger. These wounds didn't come from your partner. They came from your relationship with usually your primary caregiver when you were younger, but they did shape your nervous system. And so understanding them and then finding experiences that are counter to these beliefs, these core wounds that you have, is going to be important on your healing journey. Research on earned secure attachment shows us that core wounds can heal when they are exposed to disconfirming experiences. These are moments that contradict your old story of what is true for you. This could be like you express your need to your partner and you are not punished for it. In fact, your partner listens to you, hears your need, and responds to it. This is a disconfirming experience. Now, there's a part of this that requires you to notice when those experiences happen, pay attention to them, sit with them, really internalize them. The emotionality of that moment creates a corrective experience that then overrides that implicit memory that you've had in your past where you were wounded and you felt like you could not express your need. So this is how over time, understanding your core wounds and then having corrective emotional experiences that counteract those core wounds can actually heal and update your implicit memory to make you a more secure person over time. And that's the goal that we're striving for here. There are a lot of different therapeutic methods that are designed to help you create these corrective emotional experiences. In fact, in emotionally focused couples therapy, one of the methods of couples therapy that I practice, these are called corrective emotional experiences. And the goal of couples therapy is to structure your interactions with your partner in such a way as to create them in session. And it's really beautiful when you're able to do something like this because you can see the change taking place in that moment of interaction between partners. Inner child work calls this reparenting, like reparenting your inner child. And neurological research calls it memory reconsolidation. It's a moment when that implicit memory dysfunction is brought forth and reconsolidated into a more positive memory that then supports the foundation of earned secure attachment. So what's the next step here? You've built insight, you've learned self-regulation, you've begun healing your core wounds. So now we're moving into this relational layer where secure attachment is actually expressed. How do you heal relationally through your interactions with other people? So the first thing that you can do in order to learn how to heal these wounds relationally is to begin to speak from a place of need instead of fear with your partner. Okay. And this is what that sounds like. Speaking from fear is speaking from that attachment driven fear, right? It's coming from that wounded place. So that can sound like, why didn't you reply to me? Right? Do you even care about me? Or I don't want to talk about this. I'm fine. Or nothing's wrong. Right? You're either coming from this place of fear that you're going to be abandoned or that you're too much, or you're shutting down. You're saying, I don't need you. I'm going to deal with this on my own. If the goal here is to learn how to flip the script, to change your communication with your partner so that you are speaking from a place of need instead. And that usually involves using I feel statements. So talking about something that you feel and explaining the impact that something had on you, and then mentioning a need that you have. So here's what that sounds like in practical terms. I felt really disconnected from you today, and I really want to reconnect. Or, hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. Give me 5 minutes and then I'll come back. When you can learn how to speak from this place of need, using I feel statements, talking about your feelings and being vulnerable in the moment with your partner, you're no longer speaking from this dysregulated place, this reactive place. You're speaking from a more intentional, grounded, regulated place. And that allows you to signal safety to your partner's nervous system and also get what you need by expressing that need clearly and concisely. This is how secure communication starts. You're literally acting as if you were secure already, and that begins to retrain your body, your brain, your nervous system to become more securely attached over time. Second thing you can begin to do is learn how to repair early and honestly with your partner if something goes wrong. Secure people aren't secure because they never rupture the relationship. They are secure because they learn how to repair quickly with their partner when something bad happens. So this could be something like you get defensive with your partner, right? And you come around to them a few minutes later and you say, hey, look, I slipped into an old pattern before. I got defensive with you. I'm really sorry, but I care about us. Can we reset, please? Dr. John Gottman in his research found that the difference between stable and unstable couples isn't really how often they fight. It's about how quickly they are able to repair with each other, because this signals secure attachment. And every time you repair with your partner, this is the really cool thing, it creates a new implicit memory. It creates one of those corrective emotional experiences. Repair in the moment is a way of reforming that connection with your partner. It's a way of venturing into vulnerability in a small way and creating a new corrective emotional experience between you and another person. This shows your body, your brain, your nervous system that when things get messy, I can find my partner again. I can find safety again. And that's huge. And the third thing you can do is that you want to work on expanding your window of intimacy over time. This means that you work on the thing that is difficult for you. So for avoidant leaning people, this means expanding your tolerance for being close to your partner. For anxiously leaning people, this means expanding your tolerance for space from your partner, which can be really difficult. And this doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens by building up reps over time. You're training yourself over time in small ways. So if you lean more avoidantly attached, then this means practicing sitting closer to your partner when you're having difficult conversation. It means holding eye contact with them for slightly longer periods of time. It means staying present during emotional moments with your partner instead of retreating. When you notice yourself retreating, breathing in the moment, noticing your body language, staying present with them. It can be really, really difficult to do this, but the better you get at it, of catching it in the moment and then training yourself to stay present, the better you will be long term. For anxious partners who are leaning more anxious, this might mean taking a walk without checking your phone to see if your partner responded to you or texted you back or reached out to you. It might mean when your partner doesn't answer your text, waiting for a longer period of time before you reach out to them for reassurance. Or it might also mean when you and your partner are separate, they're out with their friends or something, and your mind goes to catastrophizing. It goes to they're cheating on me, they're abandoning me, they're leaving me, they don't care about me. Breathing and allowing yourself more time in that moment of separation without reaching for reassurance and without catastrophizing. It's regulating so that you can become better at tolerating moments of discomfort over time. So you can get better at that. And that expands your window of tolerance and allows you long term to be more intimate and more connected to your partner because you're not reacting from that place of fear. Know that earned secure attachment isn't built through perfection. It's built through these small micro moments that build up over time. And I want to leave you with this sense of real optimism here because I have seen people change. I've changed myself in ways that I could only dream of when I was younger. But it takes hard work. It takes recognizing your patterns. It takes challenging your core wounds. It takes learning how to regulate before you respond. It takes repairing quickly with your partner and to speak from a place of need instead of fear. And it takes expanding your window of tolerance for closeness and intimacy or space from your partner. The good news is that when you do all of these things consistently, your nervous system eventually updates and you become better at feeling more secure in your relationship. And these habits become more automatic over time. And that's real relationship change. If this video was helpful to you, if you got any value from it at all, please give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, send it to somebody who it might be meaningful for. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time.